Hey, what is up everyone? It's Dudediligence here. Long time no see, and it's almost New Year, and for those of you who don't know, tomorrow is actually my birthday. Yes, I am a New Year baby. But anyways, let's go into this whole transparency sort of thing and then give you guys a rundown of my trading journey. This is actually my 7th year trading, but in terms of a heavy presence in the US market, let's just recap from 2020 and all the way to 2022. What is really funny is I started this YouTube channel, I think July or June 2021, or maybe earlier than that. I'm not really sure. But as you can see, it's actually raining in California. It's raining really heavily. I was gonna upload this video much earlier, but my tire got blown actually. So today it was actually a hassle, but it was fun. I was going to countdown, but then now my the entire tire got blown, so whatever. So at the beginning of 2020, actually in the beginning of 2019, I started spotted that there are some downwind sort of whispers in the market. So what I did is I actually started I started buying a lot of ETFs that focus on shorting the entire market, and as you know, the market didn't really went down until about the end of 2019 and then to early 2020 when the coronavirus actually happened. So by the end of 2020, I have about $6,000 invested in the market, and then I 6x my return by basically just shorting the market a lot using ETFs. I wasn't really trading options on that account. So then it's very quick math, right? You do 6,000 times 6, and then you basically have $36,000. Basically all profit, right? So then 2021, everything goes well. I basically ended my shorting position by the end of 2020. There are some losses, there's some bleeding over there and in here and there, but everything is very actually controlled. The volatility is around 5%. So when 2021 started, I see that inflation is going to be a very interesting problem going forward. And then I decided to actually buy back a bunch of, stocks that are including Carnival Cruise and a lot of other things and then that's where I started trading options. And I was actually all the way up until September. I almost 2x my money, and I also took some money out for paying rent and everything. So at that point, I have about $50,000 in the account. So this is when MMAT started to play, and then when we started encountering MMAT, actually things are getting downhill. So what happens is I actually heavily invested in MMAT. My thesis was actually I always known that it's actually going to be a very interesting perspective in terms of whether their land is going to worth anything, or their oil is going to worth anything, or their technology. I was actually really fascinated at first with their technology, but as I dig further and further, as for those of you who know me, or for those of you who already been on this channel for a long time, that at first I was a huge proponent for MMAT. I actually have about 25K in MMAT, maybe more than that at one point. And then when I started digging more and more into the stock, I realized that there's a lot of things that are wrong in terms of the interim financial reports and a lot of those financial reports. And for those of you who don't know, during 2020 and 2021, it's like my transition year where I'm finishing off my double masters. I got one master's in behavioral finance and the other master's basically in advanced mathematics and basic computer systems. So then as I dig more and more into the data and using more models, I realized that there's something wrong with this company. So then I started making videos about why I think it's actually gonna be really, really bad moving forward. And then full transparency, I was actually really honest. I was actually holding on to it like everybody else until at one point there's a huge controversy where I actually basically cut lost, and then basically I trimmed all my MMT positions to 1/3. It's more like at first I cut loss for 1/3, and then eventually I only have 1/3 position left. And that's where like a lot of people are, the community backfire, I did a lot of auditing. I did a lot of research on how many shares are actually on the market, which if you look at how many shares that were actually disclosed, how many shares that George was saying, how many shares that were talking about on StockWiz, and how many shares we're talking about on Twitter, it's actually inconsistent. And what is interesting is if you have inconsistent shares, then there's always going to be problems with this company. And I started talking to some interesting players in the long short equity scene, and they're saying that this stock, they're just not, if they would want to do any positions with this stock, they would short to the ground to it. And then I still have an attachment to the community, so I didn't do anything. I didn't short anything, and up to date I've never shorted MMAT. Actually, I've never shorted MMAT, I've never shorted MMAT LP, I've never shorted anything that related to my community. So then afterwards, around about June or July, that's where I cleared out all of my MMAT positions. Actually, I was looking at a heavy loss. I think I lost about $30,000 on MMAT alone, and I lost about 12.5K on options on MMAT, because I think this is a learning moment where even if don't get attached to any stock, because when you see something is wrong with this company, you should just skedaddle and just leave, instead of being like if your community holding on to it, nobody listens to you, and then everybody hates on you, you should just leave and then tell them that because money, right, because money is basically everything in this market. Without with no money, you cannot survive the trading volatility. And for the past 7 years, I've actually never lose money in the market. Actually, that's a lie. On the third year, I actually lost quite a lot. But after the third year, I realized that most of trading is actually all about controlling the volatility, whether you want to play high vol or low vol or low variance. And then what you want to do is you want to balance out your equity allocation, or in a more layman's terms, you want to basically manage your bankroll. Like it's just similar to gambling. Like stock is literally just, if you're playing options and then you have a percentage, just money that you want to just lay out and play options, you're actually gambling, because options actually have a lot of volatility and have a lot of sort of uncertainty within to it. So then I would say that poker and stocks are actually very similar. So then moving forward, after June 2022, I think that's where we are. I basically finished all my masters. I finished all the academics. I started officially, quote unquote, started working, and then ran through like 2 promotions. Works get in the way, and I was holding a lot of long-term options of TVF, which is basically betting that the yield is going to go up. I mean, one of the lessons I learned is, if you have option contracts or you have option positions that it's already like 250% up, you shouldn't, in reality, the Fed's supposed to raise interest on December, but because there are a lot of pressure from different countries and from different places, and also we're actually in a recession, so then they decided to be a little dovish at the end of the year to sort of create a breathing room for everyone. But in reality, next year, 2023, is going to be really, really bad in terms of recession and liquidity in the market. A lot of people don't have cash anymore. There's no emergency funds, and a lot of banks, if you look at their balance sheet, their reserve to cash ratio and then their liquidity ratio is really, really low. So you might see either in 1987 coming again or 2008 coming again, because there's nothing that the Federal Reserve can do. So the general thesis of holding a bunch of TBF is actually correct. And I actually, I think on MMAT, I talk about this, right? I lost over $30,000, maybe even $50,000. And then on TBF, I made about $12,000, and you do the math, you have like $38,000 for outstanding loss because of MMAT, and then I think in the middle of 2022, I start going long on things that I shouldn't be, and going short on things that basically, when I was structuring my option chain, I didn't anticipate that the market I thought the market would just do like a huge 50% slide off, or do a 33% slide off and 50% slide off, and then you do basically a 27 on top slide off. And if you do the math, you will realize that that's a huge amount, right? A lot of those stocks like decreased by 70%, but the problem is when I started massively shorting those things, when I calculated the option chain, I was actually late for like almost like 4 days. But in option language, basically, I was late for 1 weekly expiry. So then what happens is you actually take a lot of loss. So then you see a huge red in my balance sheet because my timing was wrong. But luckily, I did a bunch of research on used cars, and I was actually looking into buying a used car. And by the way, I'm picking up a new car in about 3 days. So I started shorting Carvana and started shorting CarMax. And then that made back about $20,000. And I also shorted, on a way of Apple going down, I also shorted Apple, which, I made about $9,000 shorting Apple. But again, I think one of the big problems, as you go on this trading journey and as you go on this option journey, is you got to manage your bankroll really well. And then when you see like the all time and you see like everything goes really, really well at the beginning, and then everything start going downhill after you did the MMAT thing, you're like, ooh, sorry about that. Someone called and the recording just got cut off. Don't worry, I will edit it in. It's gonna be a 20-minute video, just me reflecting random things. And then afterwards, I think what happens is my job gets really demanding. My sales are going really, really well. Projection is, I want to do $1 million a month, which we are on track of doing that moving into 2023. But again, recession is coming, so I'm not really sure. But enough about work. And I ended up working like 60 hours a week, so I don't really have time to actively manage my portfolio. And at that point, I hold a lot of quarterly contracts. I hold, right now, most of my contracts are leap contracts. And another thing that you guys need to understand is when you're trading leap contracts, especially like during the witching months of October and December, you face a lot of volatility and a lot of uncertainty. And usually what people will do is, during December, they anticipate there's going to be a rally, that there's going to be the Christmas rally. November is going to be a Thanksgiving rally. But this year, it really didn't really happen. It's just temporary rebound and everything. But the problem is implied volatility actually, is not going to catch up because not a lot of people are trading options anymore by the end of the year. So it's actually a horrible idea to holding on to those options instead of like just taking all these winnings. But anyways, right now is December 31st, 2022, and we're sitting on, the only profit that we're making right now is basically we still hold $60 call options for Occidental, and I probably will clear it out when January comes, because as I talked about in Discord in my previous video, is you should basically, not you should, again, I'm not a financial advisor, I do not give financial advices, but when Occidental goes down to $59, all you have to do is just buy a $60 call and wait until it gets to 64 and then you just dump it, right? Basically, that's just how it works, because Warren Buffett actually did a really, really great fair value valuation on Occidental, and then his buying price is 58 and 59, which is, I think, is super, super fair. And if you look at the situation with the inflation and everything else, and EV transition isn't going so well, so then in this case, Occidental was still gonna do like a interesting sun run, still gonna be up there. And then in the middle of 2023, when we sort of transition to deflationary economy, then that's where you will see that oil gets like a significant drop over there. Another recap, we also did I think we made $12,000 doing shorting oil leading towards the end of the year, and we make about $8,000 buying calls of USO, which is basically the oil fund in the beginning of the year. But again, we lost a lot of money on trading MMAT. We also lost a lot of money just playing volatility, but picking the wrong expiration on options. because when volatility actually, like the general volatility, when not a lot of people are trading, what you're supposed to do is you want to drag on onto your option contracts. If you're trading 2 weeks options before, you should times 2 by that. You're trading like, you should start trading like monthly options or 2 months options or maybe 3 months options. And then I did a lot of data analysis on what is the most profitable. Turns out that quarterly options and then half the semi-annual options are the most profitable in my case, which makes sense because there's gonna be like a curve where it curves down where time value doesn't matter. But anyways, year to date, you know, with all of the losses, with all of the everything, you know, add up, I think I'm down by 35K. So there you go. That's your 2023 recap. We're down by 35K, but that makes sense because there's a lot of timing issues within that when you're really, really busy, you know, just working. Because in the middle of November, I was actually not down 35K, which we still hold the same positions. We're actually only down about 20K. And again, we at the end of the year, we also started shorting Chinese market. And as you know, when a government can pump money into the market, even though all of the balance sheet looks so bad, what you need to control is you need to damage control, and then you just start holding the stocks of the shorting ETFs instead of actually holding a bunch of options. In our case, we hold too much options. And there you go, recap of 2022, and you know, smash the like button and subscribe. Hopefully 2023, I'm moving out of my old place and I will have my own studio. So I will be posting more, hopefully, and hopefully, you know, after I made a lot of things autonomous at work, I can finally start trading more. But again, we're not financial advisors, we do not get financial advice, and you shouldn't be trading the money that, for me, it's actually a significant chunk of money. But again, you know, losing that much of money for me is like, you know, I can afford it, because at the end of the day, I know that, you know, I'm gonna rebound back. But for a lot of you, you shouldn't be trading your life savings, because most likely you're just gonna lose it. Anyways, this is my recap for 2022, and then we're heavily in the red, and mostly because of MMAT and because of reckless just option trading. But again, full transparency, you know, hopefully I get to do all of those videos by the end of 2023, and then you guys will see, we crawl to the hole. And again, you know, the concept of trading in low vol environment is very different from trading high vol environment. And for a lot of you who's been trading 2020, 2021, and 2022, the 2023 market is going to be extremely different and also difficult. Anyways, see you guys on the upside, and hopefully you like this video.